Hello, fellow Americans, and welcome to Channel 4 News. Our country is facing lots of controversy, more specifically around one word: slavery. Slavery has been a constant topic in our nation, where, if we're being real, should stay in America. However, our brothers up north think that it needs to go. Yeah, they can have fun with that. Anyway, back to our main subject, the election of 1860. Abraham Lincoln has won, couldn't tell you how, and he has defeated his opponents of John C. Breckinridge, the obvious should-be winner, and John Bell. Stephen Douglas doesn't count. This has sparked lots of controversy, and we are sending it down to Champ for the live footage of the election of 1860.
Breaking news, the election of 1860 is about to come to an end. The election is between Lincoln, Douglas, Breckinridge, and Bell. Us South Carolinians hope John C. Breckinridge, the candidate of the Southern Democratic Party, wins the election. The election of 1860 has come to an end, and it is Abraham Lincoln winning for the Republican Party. Lincoln received 180 electoral votes while being left out of 9 voting ballots in the South. Lincoln's platform is non-expansion of slavery into the new territories, to begin the prohibition of the practice of slavery, protective tariffs for big industries, and build the Transcontinental Railroad and make internal improvements with federal funding. We cannot even comprehend how bad of a decision the American voters made by electing Lincoln. Something has to change because this new president plans on taking away our economic pillar, and we cannot let that stand. Lincoln's policies are looking to abolish slavery and ruin the Southern economy for Northern power. We feel that we cannot belong to a union run by anti-slave Republicans, and because of that, we joined the union voluntarily. We can also leave voluntarily. Whammy!
Yes, I might have said that it was a bad idea that Lincoln was elected as president, but it might have worked out in our favor. We have received word that us, the South, have seceded from the Union, and this is a momentous step in putting our ideologies into action.
I'm Champ. I woke up this morning in a Japanese family's rec room, and the whole family wouldn't stop screaming. I know, that was weird. And I'm here to talk about how us South Carolinians, I think, were the first to secede from the North and their beliefs. Our state was the first to make the change, and we felt it was only right to secede as the North threatened to take away our economic pillar, slavery. The North can go on without slavery, but without factories and other places to process materials, the South relies on slavery, our economic pillar. The North is being unconstitutional, and there is nothing positive for us staying in the Union. Not only are we seceding, but we plan on forming a confederacy for other slave states to join us. We want to be the first to make a stand against our right and economy getting ripped away from us. Not only is this happening, but John C. Heenan and Tom Sayers just had one of the greatest boxing matches ever. Sorry, I apologize. I guess I can't talk about that. Some nerd in the background said I couldn't on the film crew. I can't talk about sports anymore. Okay, back to the topic of our genius idea to secede. We need to change and won't stand for our rights being stripped away from us. Whammy!
We want slavery. We want slavery.
Yeah, these are guys from South Carolina.
Slavery. We want slavery.
This bogus election has led to the secession of the southern states from the Union. Thank God we are not part of that atrociously run, I don't even know what you'd call it, country, I guess, I don't even know. But let it be known that the Confederacy will be known as a sovereign nation very, very soon. What? No. Oh, okay. Breaking news, we are sending you down to Brick for the coverage of the firing of Fort Sumter.
Good evening, everyone. It is Friday, April 12th, 1861, and we bring you breaking news from Charleston, South Carolina, my home state, and my colleagues' home states. The American Civil War has officially begun. Just after 4:30 this morning, Confederate forces opened fire on Fort Sumter in the Charleston harbor. Major Robert Anderson, commander of the Union garrison, had refused to surrender just an hour beforehand. An hour could have saved lives. The fort had been low on supplies for months and had held out of the siege. This escalation comes just weeks after failed diplomacy. Confederate President Jefferson Davis had dispatched commissioners to Washington in February, not too long ago, to negotiate the peaceful surrender of the federal forts in the South. But President Buchanan and President Lincoln both ignored and denied the requests. Tensions grew very thick at Fort Sumter, leading to this conflict. Behind the bright lights, Secretary of State William Seward attempted to quiet negotiations while Justice John Campbell relayed messages between the North and the South, but confusion emerged and trust was broken. It was shattered, some may even say. In President Lincoln's decision earlier this week to resupply the fort, not reinforce it, definitely reinforcing it, was a move Davis viewed as an act of aggression. Tony? Definitely an act of aggression, Tony. Definitely an act of aggression, Tony. Definitely an act of aggression. Don't do that. This morning, Confederate General P.G.T. Beauregard, once a student of Major Anderson at West Point, gave the order. The first shot was fired by 67-year-old Edmund Ruffin of Virginia, a Confederate hero. He'll be a legend till the end of the world. Simply a legend. Despite being offered the opportunity, Congressman Roger Pryor, who had previously urged the South to, quote, strike a blow, quote, declined the honor. As of this exact moment, the Union has not returned fire with full force, but the message is clear. Compromise has failed. The nation is at war. Go Confederates. Let's go.
After that firing of Fort Sumter, who can say we will win this? I guess you'd call it a civil war. What an utter embarrassment for the Union. Come on, we knew you guys didn't have anything, but we thought you'd show just a little something. Come on. Anyway, while we're on break, we received some news that a new battle is struck in Maryland, in Antietam. The Battle of Antietam has begun, and we are sending you down to Bryan for the coverage.
This just in, General Robert E. Lee has moved his formidable troops north out of Virginia to invade Maryland. A win here could rally the support of pro-slavery individuals throughout the Old Line state. If successful, this battle could turn the tides of the war for the better. We would convince Northern voters and foreign supporters that we, the Confederates, could win this war. Lee's troops are currently positioned behind Antietam Creek, with Longstreet's men to the right, our own South Carolina Major General D.H. Hill's division in the center, and Stonewall Jackson and his men, who hastened from Harper's Ferry to the left. The first shot has been fired. It seems to be from the left by Stonewall Jackson. We'll be back with more after this promising battle is over.
Hello again, the battle is over, and I am retreating with Robert E. Lee into Virginia. Thank God Major General A.P. Hill came, or else we would still be fighting as we speak. More than 22,000 people have been counted as killed, missing, or wounded. Us and the Union had around the same amount of casualties, with about 4,800 total. We haven't seen anyone following us with McClellan, which is kind of odd because it's the most vulnerable that our General Lee has been. So, I've also caught wind of a new announcement from the Union President Abraham Lincoln as he issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which essentially freed all of our slaves and put the war on an entirely new footing, as it is now supposed to be out ending the institution of slavery. Unfortunately, we should now not accept any foreign help, as foreign countries like England and France want nothing to do with this war, because it's supposed to be like slavery, as I said before. Ultimately, this battle is a huge loss and detrimental to us Confederates.
I'm not going to talk about our loss. I'm going to talk about the Emancipation Proclamation, whatever. What? Can't say that on air? That's bullshit. Can't say that either. Channel 4 has gone soft. Anyway, who does Lincoln think he is? Okay, abolishing slavery. Right when Europe was about to get involved? Get a grip, okay? And, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. Who would have thought another battle started? We're sending you down to Bryan, who hopefully doesn't have his head up.
On action.
Hello, I am back with Robert E. Lee in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Our army is preparing to do another invasion of the North. The first since the battle at
You
Antietam.
guys smell that? It actually smells terrible.
I must have been the janitor.
Get out of here, dude. Get out.
Dude, what's going on?
Or anyway, it was obviously not me. So anyway, due to his brilliant victory, talking about Robert E. Lee and Chancellorsville back in May, we believe that he can win this battle. We have around 75,000 troops ready to fight.
Yeah.
A win on northern soil would crush the Union's morale, as well as speed up the end of the war. That's all I have for now. I'll try to get a report during the battle. This just in, July 2nd, and the battle is well underway. General Meade arrived late last night, and we the Confederates have fought hard all day, but we should not seem to budge the defensive Union.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Just
Throw your phone in the water?
he did. He just chucked his phone in the air.
Tomorrow, we plan to launch simultaneous attacks on Colts Hill on the Union's left.
Be a reporter.
Alright. Yeah.
Final update, isn't clear who won the war. But 23,000 casualties, but we had 20,000. And with them having more numbers, it seems like they have won. Lee's decision to invade the North was unsuccessful yet again. Back to you.
Welcome back to the greatest news run on earth. We're reporting breaking, sad news on the surrender at the Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia. A pivotal piece of American history just had its books closed. The day is April 9th, 1865, where General Robert E. Lee of the Confederate Army just surrendered to the Union's General Ulysses S. Grant, which will mark the end of the Great Civil War. The surrender follows an exhausting campaign for the Confederate Army. A main turning point that some may say is the climax occurred not too long ago at the Battle of Five Forks. That was rigged. It was rigged. Don't even get me started. It was rigged. And the capture of thousands of Confederate troops at Sailor's Creek. God bless their souls, and may God keep them safe. Lee attempted to flee west to join more Confederate troops, but were surrounded and failed. I'm now going to send you guys over to Bobby, live from Wilmer McLean's farmhouse, live from the surrendering.
What's that, Brick? Brick, what are you saying, Brick? Brick.
We are live from Wilmer McLean's farmhouse in the town of Appomattox Courthouse, where the two generals have just met. Lee was dressed in full uniform while Grant was in an old muddy trench coat. I am just being told now that the Confederate soldiers will lay down their arms and return home, keeping their horses and sidearms. And God bless those boys, keep them safe for the rest of their lives. And just because they failed does not mean they failed us. They might have failed the war, but they did not fail us as humans, and they will be continuing to be strong. Union soldiers did not... The Confederate soldiers just heard that, and they are now yelling at me, so we're going to have to be a little quiet here to finish this report. Union soldiers did not cheer, but instead, with respect, Grant halted it with a 100-gun salute and saying, I quote, "The war is over, the rebels are countrymen again," end of quote. Although scattered, Confederate forces remain. The Appomattox surrender symbolizes the end of the worst war in American history. Signing out from Appomattox, this is Bobby reporting the end of the deadliest war in American history.
What? Live? President Lincoln passed away on April 15th after receiving a shot in the head last night. He was assassinated at Forest Theater in Washington, D.C. Per an eyewitness's report, during the third act of Our American Cousin, a single gunshot rang out the actor, identified as John Wilkes Booth, leaped from the balcony from which Lincoln and his wife Martha were sitting, and he yelled, "Sic Semper Tyrannis," before fleeing the scene. While we cannot condone this act of violence on camera, many will see this a fitting repercussion for a man who has brought such devastation to this country. Lincoln's policies led to a civil war that destroyed the economy, citizens' homes, and simply our everyday lives. The name that is Abraham Lincoln will always be associated with the destruction of the South, and only time will tell if this act will bring chaos upon our healing nation or possibly a chance for unity. What? Sorry for the interruption, but we have received word that John Wilkes Booth has been found in a barn in Port Royal. We have a live feed of what is happening down in Virginia.
And a dramatic turn of events. John Wilkes Booth, the man who shot President Lincoln, has been cornered in a Virginia farmhouse.
Yeah.
After a 12-day manhunt, federal troops finally caught up with Booth. His refusal to surrender led to a tense standoff. As you can see behind me, the house, or hence the farmhouse, is set ablaze.
That's a lake.
And it's pretty tough scene. The farmhouse is currently ablaze after soldiers set it on fire in an attempt to force Booth out. What? Booth has been shot. Booth has been shot. He was coming out of that farmhouse that was set ablaze, and I repeat, he has been shot. He has been shot as he emerged from the flaming building.
This is footage of the federal troops shooting John Wilkes Booth. Take a look. He's dead. After a relentless search, some are calling Booth a hero, and others are calling him a madman. Regardless, the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln has sent the North into a whirlwind. It seems a little too harsh for him to be shot without trial, but hopefully justice will pave the way for this situation not to happen again. We are waiting for more details, but can only hope that this sends the North a message and that unity will happen, but it comes with a cost. Well, that marks the end of our broadcast. We managed to cover multiple years in about 15 minutes, and we at Channel 4 are very proud of that. Our opinions still stand, as we do not agree with the policies Lincoln put in place, and I don't want to say we're happy he's dead, but who cares? We're happy he's dead. The South needs to preserve the promises it made to itself, and hopefully we have a chance to proclaim our beliefs again. But until that happens, we will try and keep peace with the North. I hope you enjoyed this little segment, and from all of Channel 4 News team, stay classy.